Hey everyone, welcome back to another card review. Today we're doing February's cards, and some of these actually look really good. I'm quite excited to go through them with you guys. Some of them might be questionable, but I suppose that's what ratings are for, because we're going to go through all of them, rating them from 1 star to 5 star. I looked at these cards briefly, and I have a rough idea what I want to rate them. I wrote them down, but I might change on the fly, kind of seeing how I feel about things. So, starting off, we have the Season Pass card, Starlord, Master of the Sun, which is a 4/5. On reveal, next turn you get +1 energy for each turn you've ended with unspent energy. So this is almost definitely an Evo card, and they did buff Evo recently, so I know Evo is performing really well. This is a 4/5 with like maximum, I mean it's like 411, right? Okay, I'm jumping in here. This is Supexia from later in the day, so I'm going to completely scrap this part because for some reason, when I read it, it clearly says energy, right? But I read it as power, and I don't know how I did that. So I kind of ended up going down a path of where I rated this card relatively low. But it turns out, later now they've actually revealed what the card does, and it does actually gain power. But initially it gained energy. So let me just break it down. The new card is 4/5. On reveal, next turn you get +1 energy for each turn you've ended with unspent energy. This gains that much power. So initially I had read it as you get +1 power for each turn you've ended with unspent energy. And that's what my entire rambling was about to be. But the actual original card text was you get +1 energy for each turn, which initially made it a lot better. But now you get +1 energy for each turn you've ended with unspent energy, and it also gains the power. This card is a lot better. So High Evo is what I spoke about, and it's 100% where this card is going to live. It probably has even more places it can live now it's this much stronger. I'm going to give this a 4.5, actually. This card is kind of nuts. And I'm very glad that they released that video before I put this video out, because now I can actually see what the card actually does and kind of correct myself. So yeah, High Evo, you play this turn 5 if you have Magic down. I did initially talk about how Magic's a bit awkward with all of the Merlin running around, but there have been a few nerfs, and I'm sorry if the version of me you get throughout this video kind of jumps back and forth talking about pre-nerfs and whatever. It's because they released the nerfs and the changes to these cards later in the day, and I'm just going back through and kind of like Frankensteining the video together. But yeah, this card, let's say, is mainly Evo. If you have Magic, you play it on turn 5. The next turn you have a lot of energy. You could also have Warlock down, and I think this could be a very good Warlock card. I think the card's called Warlock, right? I was just second guessing myself because Adam Warlock's a thing, but I think it's called Warlock. And then you, like, on turn 5, just take all that energy and put it into cost of cards in your hands. I think this card is going to be kind of crazy. Maybe not as meta-defining as Shu Lao, but I am rating it the same as what I rated Shu Lao, even though I probably should have rated Shu Lao a 5-star, looking back. But yeah, I'll give this a 4/5, and on to the next card. So next up we have the Super Premium Pass, Magus. And I'll be honest, I've read through the lore of some of these cards because I've been prepping my lore videos. Oh, just a disclaimer, I think I'm going to be moving those from the main deck videos into like shorts. I've been trying that transition recently, but I noticed not a lot of people like the history, and people tend to drop off through the history, so I decided to put them on shorts. So I'll still be making them, and it'll still be the same kind of format as before, but just as little separate nuggets of information, and that way I can get them out before the card releases as well. Anyway, this isn't a podcast. You guys came here for card reviews, and Magus is a 4-star is what I gave it. Let's just break it down first before I get way ahead of myself. I realize it's a 3/5. Activate, copy the text of a character in your deck with cost equal to your unspent energy. So yet again, another unspent energy card. I don't know if this goes in High Evo. I mean, just because of how High Evo works with all the unspent energy things, a card like this would more than likely slot in. You could play it on turn 5, and then on turn 6 when you skip it, use its ability then, and it could copy like Hulk. I still don't think it's that good, because Hulk needs to be on the board or in your hand to get the extra buff, so Magus would just go to like a 9? Which is good stats, but in current Snap, that's not worth a card. But I do see it in one place that I'm really excited to try, and is 100% what I'm going to be doing on launch, and that is the Thor style lists. Now, those decks have not been meta for the longest time. Not entirely sure they ever were, really. But you play this on turn 3, and then say turn 4 you Beta Ray Bill, activate. You'll basically be throwing Beta Ray Bill's hammer into your deck, then Magus becomes Beta Ray Bill's hammer, because they're the only 0-cost cards you have in your deck, and therefore triggering the effect, and then you can draw it again the next turn when you play Jane Foster. And I think that could be really good. The only downside to that is it's competing with Thor's turn. If you're trying to play Thor, then like Beta Ray Bill. It might need a bit of deck testing. It could be a little bit finicky here and there, but I do see a couple of cases for it, and I think this could be one of those cards that surprises people with what it does. I don't know if, like, say you put it into a ramp deck and then turn 5 you still don't have Dragon Lord and you skip the turn, use its ability, pulls a card from your hand. Could be good. I don't see it working in those kind of decks though, because you can't guarantee that the card's still in your deck by turn 5, which is what makes it awkward. But I 100% seeing working with the 0-cost cards that you're throwing into your deck the same turn. That way you can guarantee it. So for that reason alone, I'm going to give it 4 stars. 100% the card I'm most excited for this season. Probably not going to rate it the highest. I think from the cards that I have one other that's competing with 5. Debated between this or the other one, but I will let you guys know when I get to it. So next up, we have the card that's releasing on the 3rd of February alongside the launch of the season, which is MoonDragon, a 2/2 that reads end of turn, +2 power if you played one card this turn and spent all of your energy. Now, this card is a little bit locked behind a couple of factors here. So we have played one card this turn, which is the Doom 2099 effect. I'm pretty sure this is this card's only home, really. I'm going to try it in a Doom 2099 deck with like Aurora and some end of turn things, because it's got end of turn. Doom 2099 has end of turn. Then it's got its ongoing things, a couple of like on reveals for Aurora, but I'm getting into deck building territory here. This is another card I'm excited for. And I am going to give this card, what did I give it here? A 3.5. I think a 3.5 is about right. I don't see this card going crazy or anything. In a world where Chamber exists, this card could reach the same levels as Chamber, but for a much harder effect. Say turn 2 you play this, then you play, I guess it gets its own effect triggered, so it becomes a 2/4 automatically. Turn 3 is 3/6, 4 is 3/8, 5 is 3/10, well 2/10 I suppose, and then 6 is 2/12. I don't see that being too tricky of an effect to pull off actually. Maybe I do give this 4 stars alongside Magus. Magus I'm giving 4 stars more for excitement level than actual deck potential, but maybe this card can actually go to 4. I'll give it a 4 star. Next up we have, on February 10th, we have Drax, Avatar of Life, which is a 4/4 that reads, a little bit confusing, end of turn, +4 power if your opponent played a card with greater power this turn. Move to that card if you'd be winning its location. So, I want to say one thing just before I get into the card itself. I don't know how everyone feels about having versions of cards that already exist, like characters, but then giving it extra text. Like, I think we're reaching the critical mass now where we're going to start getting cards that have, like, I think Mr. Fantastic has 3 different versions of himself. And it makes it very hard to talk about them, but also it loses a little bit of flavor when every character becomes another version of themselves. And like Star-Lord, for example, isn't the same as Star-Lord Master of the Sun. It's nowhere near the same effect. just a little bit of a thing I had. But reading the backstory on these characters has been very cool. I do have to say, I'm glad that I got in to look at that side of it. Okay, I'm back from the future again, guys. This card is now a 3/4, end of turn plus 3 power. So basically, I went down a path of talking about how basically the way this card works is at the end of the turn, if your opponent played a card that has more power than this, it will move to its location and get the buff. Before, when it was a 4/4, I think your opponent playing a card higher than 4 power was quite likely, but now it's a 3/4. I think your opponent playing a card that's more than 4 power on turn 3 is a lot less likely. This card, I think, now has more uses with things like move synergies. And the idea is, if you say your opponent plays Lunar Snow on turn 3 and it's the only thing, this card, end of turn, will move to Lunar's location as a 3/7, which is very good, actually. And then next turn, say they play like War Machine. This card is really good against ramp. I'm thinking about it now. They play War Machine on, or even like Blink or whatever. It has more power than a 3/7, so it will move yet again and become a 3/10. 3/10 power is Starbrand level stats. I think this card is... It's a lot better than it was previously. I honestly am tempted to give this card a 5-star now. The 3/4 just makes this so much better. It has an extra turn of possible procs. The only thing that's going to keep me from giving it a 5-star, which is what I mentioned previously, is your opponent can just counterplay this. Say you're playing against like a bounce deck or like an end of turn deck with like Athena and what else do they run? Invisible Woman, Lockheed, all those kind of things. You're never going to get this to move. Like maybe once on one turn when they play a 5-cost card, but then it still becomes a 3/7, and a 3/7 is very good still. It's kind of hard. I'm going to say 4 stars reserved, purely because the opponent can have some counterplay to it. It does only move if you'll be winning the location as well, which I think is a good thing. You say like last turn they play a really big card and you move to its location, but if the opponent's paying attention, they'll know that's going to happen, and they could move your Drax out of a location that they then will be winning. It's quite a complex card, but I'm excited for it, and I'm going to stick it this star rating. Now, this card, February 17th, we have Kraglin releasing, and Kraglin's ability is overly complicated for no reason. I'm already talking it down, but it's on reveal, banish the top card of your deck. If it was 4 cost or higher, plus 2 energy, otherwise give this 4 power. So, it's 3/2 by default. You're eradicating a card from your deck, which sometimes doesn't matter if you're not a deck that draws all your cards anyway. And if the card it got rid of was 4 cost or higher, you get 2 energy next turn to be able to play a 6-drop, I guess, that you've just discarded. Or if it was lower, you get plus 4 power and become basically the same stats as a Lunar Snow. I don't understand this card. I don't understand any deck it wants to go into. I would genuinely not be surprised if it's buffed before it even gets released. I'm doing this before they've done the video, and that's where I come in. Post video, this is now a 3/3. I'm just going to leave it star rating where it is. I did over time think of the possibility of running Grandmaster, which could now technically put this to a 3/11 if it were to discard a low cost card or give you plus 2 power. Might have some deck that surprises me, but I really don't see this card doing too well, so I'm going to leave it at what star rating I give it in a minute. This card has... I really don't know. Like, do you want to proc its on reveal twice? Like, not really. Do you want to... What are you going to do with that extra energy? You have to know what you're discarding, or banishing even. It's not even a discard. If it was discard, it might have some uses, but it's not. I understand the flavor of the character. Kraglin is not a character I'm very familiar with, but I know him from the movies, and I know that he isn't as good with Yondu's arrow, so I guess that's what they're going for. Like, he flings it at your own deck, and then you don't know what you're getting rid of. Do you play Howard the Duck with this? Like, I don't think so. Like, you play Howard the Duck, and then if on turn 3 you want to play this and it's not the right time because you don't have the right card on the top of your deck, do you then pass, play something else, wait for turn 4, and then it's still not right? And so I don't know. I'm really confused about this card, and for that reason I've given it a 1-star, which I think is my first 1-star, but this is the second time I've reviewed cards, so it's probably not that impressive. Anyway, we've wasted enough time on this card. On to the next one. Next up we have, on February the 24th, a 3/3 Jack Flag, which reads, ongoing, your cards here with increased power have +2 power. Honestly think this is just a flat out really good card. Its ability is relatively straightforward. It does get kind of annihilated by Shadow King though. And as people have mentioned, technically it would buff itself if it had increased power. So if this was on a location with like Captain America would buff this, and therefore then it would buff itself. And it would buff everything else at the location. So that's like 8 power, is a 3/11, and it can still get like moonstoned and things. I think this card is great, honestly. Something that ongoing has been looking for. Like, even just thinking Goliath, you put it on Goliath, Goliath gets 2 by default. So I'm going to give this card 5. This is the card I was giving 5 stars. Debated between this and Magus, but Magus is mainly because I like the card. I don't actually know if that deck's going to work. Like, the card is cool, but the deck archetype is still lackluster, and especially if Shu Lao stays where it is, I don't think that card's ever going to surpass something like that. So I'm giving this 5 stars. Last season I should have given Shu Lao 5 stars, probably even 6 stars. They released a card that basically broke the entire meta. But this one I'm giving 5 stars. It's not going to be on Shu Lao levels, I don't think. I don't expect that, and it's a lot easier to counter. It has, like, Shadow King, and you can also Enchantress it. But its flavor's really cool, and out of all these cards, I think it was going to perform best. And then we have the limited time event ones, which I believe are Series 4 cards. Off the graphic I have, I don't actually have confirmation, but on February 15th, we have Major Victory, which is a 3/4. On reveal, add 2 members of the Guardian's crew to your hand. Now, this is a weird card. Like, it's basically Agent Coulson, but instead of knowing the cost of the card you're adding to your hand, you're adding 2 completely random Guardians, which I also believe could be the new versions of the Guardians, like the Master of the Sun and Drax. But then you can also get Rocket. You can get Rocket and Groot. I haven't seen the exact list of characters. I don't know if it extends to things like Nova or Adam Warlock. But I don't know what deck you want this in, really. Like, that's the thing. Like, you can play it in a Victoria hand deck, I suppose, but you already have Agent Coulson, and Agent Coulson isn't even played in those decks, so not really sure what you want to do with this. Not as bad as Kraglin though, which is why I'm going to give this a 2-star. I can see some places where this is maybe viable with, like, I say that and my brain has actually not given me any. It's weird. Unless they give some cards that do specific things to members of the Guardian's crew. I think there's 2 data mined cards that don't have text at the moment. Maybe they could be doing something. If that was the case, then maybe. I still don't really see where it's going, but I'll give it 2 stars because I know someone's more than likely going to cook something up that nobody thought about. And lastly, on February 26th, we have Starhawk, which is a 2/2. And bear with me, another slightly confusing text. We have, on reveal, on odd turns, give cards at the left location 1 power. On even turns, give it to the right location. I misread this at first, and I thought it was like end of turn. And if that was end of turn, this card would actually be insane. Like, way more powerful than Shu Lao. Luckily it's not, it's on reveal. And for that reason, it's pretty good, actually. Like, if you play it on the last turn and you have a full right location, it becomes a 2/6. And you can play it with Surfer, more than likely. I definitely see this being used. You don't want to play it early, though, because you're going to be buffing a lot less cards. I don't know, if you played, like, Brood on turn 3, this on turn 4 alongside another 2-drop, then be buffing the Brood. I don't see it being anything insane, but I do see it being quite good. And for that reason, I'm going to give it a 4-star. I think it will see meta play, honestly. I'm quite excited to see what people do with it. So yeah, that about wraps it up for all of the cards that are coming out in February. Some of these do look quite crazy, I can't lie. I'm excited to try them out. I don't think anything is going to be as meta breaking as Shu Lao though. Let me just say that now, and hopefully I'm not wrong about that. And they actually nerf Shu Lao soon, we can hope. Although knowing second dinner, more than likely they're going to wait until the season pass is over and then do something about it. But we'll just wait and see. And with that, thank you for watching. Oh look, there's some puppies who've just ran out of the city across the water. They need you to subscribe to help them. Let's get this whole bit where the puppies were running across the water and they needed like a lifeboat or something. But then I thought, how am I going to actually do that in post? Regardless, the puppies are running across the water and could really do with a subscribe to help inflate their lifeboat. Yeah. But these puppies could really do with a subscribe from you, and it would mean as much to them as it does to me. And if I know that's the case, they're going to love it as much as 1,000 pets. And without any further ado, I suppose, thank you for watching, and I'll speak to you all next time.